Today we got Maya from Forever Still. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. How about
Yeah,
you?
I'm doing all right. I know it's probably late for you, right?
It's not too bad. It's like 9 o'clock in the evening, so it's
Well, it
chill.
was it was hard to get kind of with the time difference. I didn't realize that you're like 6 hours ahead, right?
Yeah, I think that's what we figured out. So yeah, it's quite a bit to consider. I know your first suggestion was like 4 in the morning for me. Like,
Yeah.
no,
No, no, no, no. I
not
get
gonna do
that.
that.
It's it's fine, but some listeners don't know you, of course, but what do you do in Forever Still? What do you do? I guess.
Yeah, well, I do all the things. No, basically, I started the band with Mikkel, who plays live bass and also like most of the instruments in the studio. And we started the band together. So we write the songs, and I do mainly, what can you say, like lyrics and vocal melodies and some piano here and there, a bit of theremin also, and yeah, live I play a little synth as well. So we've mixed it up a little bit, and yeah, together we like run the band as a whole. And like since we started, we were very much like a DIY band. So we also did well, our own recordings and mix and mastering music videos, band photography and cover artwork, and yeah, a lot of the things we've kept doing even later in the game.
Really? I didn't know you did photography, I guess, as well with the band and everything.
Yeah, we did some. I mean, the photo shoot for our latest album we did with Tim Tronco, which I was very pleased about because I think they turned out great. But before that, we did it ourselves, like with a tripod and a camera. And then I had an app on my phone so I could click it off. So I would hold it, down like that, and like just so only do pictures like from what do you say, like the hip up, so I could have my hand below and just click that thing. So I was happy not to do that anymore. But I mean, you got to make it work, right?
Well, yeah, everything's really when you first start off, it's a lot of do your DUI, I guess, and a lot like yourself, and you don't have much resources, right, when you first start off
Exactly.
and everything. But that's
Yeah.
kind of cool, actually, that you just did a little clicker behind and everything. That's neat. That's neat.
Thing.
What got you in the start of the beginning? What got you into music and piano for yourself? What is your influences?
Yeah. Well, I was not considering a career in music like until a little later in life. That being said, I had always like loved singing, and I played musicals when I was younger. So I thought when I was around those, I don't know, 14 or something, that I was going to be a musical performer. And then I was told like, no, that's a stupid career. You're never going to get a job. The competition is way too hard. It's like, oh, okay, sure. And then I went like the route that so many people try to take, this classic get an education, all the safety and security. And at some point I just figured out that was not really the thing that made me happy every day when I woke up. It was the musical thing, it was the band thing. So I started like some bands as well when I was like 14, 15, just like school bands and hobby bands and stuff like that. And that was really the thing that made me happy. So at some point in life, I just had to realize, okay, like in its own sense, life is short. What do you want to do with it? Like get up and be happy is a pretty good start.
Yeah, that's the main thing. If you're pursuing music and you're having fun with it, that's what most people say. If you can't make music that you're enjoying, why do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great. But why Forever Still though? Why did you make the band? That's the real question, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, like I mentioned, Mikkel and I started the band out together, and we just met at a concert, and we started talking, and we talked afterwards. And he was like, well, he wanted to start something up with somebody, and he sent over like some ideas, like instrumental ideas. And I just immediately had all those ideas in my head for melodies and lyrics, and I sent it back to him. And, it was just instant chemistry. And we never talked about like what we wanted to do or what we wanted to sound like. It was just so subconscious, so it felt really, really right, and chemistry was good. We inspired each other, and it went from there. That it felt really good at that it could be something more than just a hobby project.
Yeah, really, I've known you guys for years and years, and it's kind of cool how much you guys have progressed over the years and just seeing this much of a passion, but now it's much of a job for you, and it's great to see that you're actually doing what you absolutely love and just the fans enjoying it and everything. I love it.
Thank you.
But what's it like being the lead singer actually in like a female fronted band in like rock and metal? Like how do you keep that image, I guess, for the band and like trying to be a woman to represent like young girls wanting to get into music as well?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I feel like we do when we're younger, even if we're not really aware of it, we do find people somewhat similar to ourselves to look up to. And I listened to female vocalists as well growing up and had this connection with that just because I guess you can see yourself in it as a kid. And I think it's so super important that there's not a huge amount of females in heavier music. And I feel like it goes like this. If you're a kid and you don't really see anybody looking like you doing it, it's going to be like, I guess that's not something I'm supposed to do, right? So, but if you see somebody, yeah, so I enjoy it like that. Obviously, it's tough at times too, because you can definitely feel like you're getting like evaluated differently. And yeah, exactly. People can have that look like even when we were touring, like somebody in the audience would go like, ugh, what's this kind of thing? And it took like a couple of, when we're touring with heavier bands, because that's what it is sometimes. But it took people a few songs to actually, okay, this is not crap. I know, but people are sometimes, I'm looking for an English word here, but they have something in mind about what they think females in heavy music is. And it's usually, it's pretty, it's boring, it's blah blah blah, especially when we started out. I mean, now there's a lot more in the scene showing that there's so much diversity, so I feel like it can be a bit of a struggle, but it's definitely worth it to be able to show it to young kids and young girls.
Yeah, that's great. Like how's been like the reception, I guess, like in recent years? Like I know back when you guys first started, there was barely any like vocalists for female fronted bands and everything.
Yeah.
What's, I guess, the representation now, I guess, for you guys as a band and everything and reaching out to other bands and that?
Well, yeah, there's definitely there are more bands now than when we started out.
Hmm.
So, but I mean, it's still we're still putting it into like a little side genre and calling it female fronted metal or rock. And I
Yeah.
mean, we never call it male fronted metal or rock. So, I mean, in that on its own, it's definitely still the underdogs. But I love that more bands with female musicians are getting some recognition and also showing that it doesn't all like sound the same or the same thing, because we've been hit by that as well, like, oh, this sounds like Evanescence, or every female fronted band sounds like Nightwish. It's like saying every male fronted band sounds like Metallica, right? Because you have that one reference point that made it big, or two reference points,
Yeah.
so you have to compare every band to that. But you can do that with like male fronted band as well, but it hasn't really been a thing. But I'm guessing it's helping now, since there are more and more bands emerging with female musicians as well.
I don't see like that much as a reference. Like I know people are like influences for like Metallica or like Nickelback or something like that for bands and that, but I don't see it like in that aspect on trying to be like them, but it's good to have like influence in them. I don't see much of bands sounding like someone in that anymore in this day and age, but it's interesting, I guess, on the music aspect on everything, I guess, right?
Well, you would be surprised the amount of time you are being like discredited as completely unoriginal just because, oh, it sounds like insert, like the
Yeah.
top female bands always, Evanescence, Nightwish, or Paramore if you're more pop rock. Those are the ones you're going to get over and over again. And yeah, it is complete bullshit. And the amount of times we, even when we played live at some point, it started the show, of course, and we saw a review going like, oh, just starting out, it sounds exactly like a ripoff of Within Temptation, all this symphonic metal. It's like, we don't even do symphonic metal. We don't even like have strings and everything. We have like, we don't have keyboards like that. But yeah, people are just, yeah, they have this conception of it.
How long did it take for you guys to actually like to make it for people to actually say, "Oh, it's your sound," not like make it sound like Within Temptation or Evanescence? How long did that you think took you guys to say, "Oh, this is our own sound"? You think?
Oh, it's hard to say because I haven't like been keeping track of it like that. But I guess just in general, like when you just come out. I feel like, I guess our first album, Tied Down, it was the one that came out to the masses first, and then people are quick to judge you, but then you come back with a different album, and we definitely made one that sounded different. And I feel like we didn't hear it as much there, and it wasn't just labeled as gothic or symphonic or, very standard things. So
Yeah. Yeah. How's like the writing process like with the whole entire band? Like what do you guys do anything special for that at all?
well, Miguel and I write the songs together. So he has been playing all the instruments in the studio. And then I do, yeah, mainly vocals, some piano and some theremin. And we've just had this process of either one of us starting out. For him, it would be like an instrumental piece he sends to me, and that inspires like the general theme of the song, and it gives me you know, the first melody, and I send it back, and that inspires him for the next piece, and we like go back and forth like that. And for me, it would be like making a vocal melody, just put some basic piano chords on it, tell him if I have anything in mind about what guitars would do. Not that I know very much of that. But then sometimes he'll just create this whole new different world around it. I think a good example actually would be from our latest album, Breathing Colors. We did a song called Is It Gone? And we did a band version of it, and we did an acoustic version of it. But actually the acoustic was like pretty much the one I started out with. And then Mikkel just took the vocal, not exactly, but just for when he started making it, took vocal, silenced the piano, and started creating stuff behind it. And then we created like the full band song of it like that.
That's cool. I've noticed actually a lot more bands. I actually talked to one band. I think it's Throw the Fight, and they started doing only acoustically for their songs and everything firsthand. So then after they put in like, so first it's going to be acoustic, and then they try to build off of it into like the hard rock, the hard metal after that, and see how it could go about with that. Which is kind of interesting why a lot of these bands are kind of going into this like acoustic route, I guess, at the start, maybe. I don't know. Is it like
Well, for
something?
me, it's a point of what I'm able to play. So,
Mhm.
the instruments I am most comfortable with is definitely piano. And that is just not a heavy instrument.
Yeah.
Like it's not you bring on a full on metal or rock song on a piano. So that's what I do, just play some like basic ass chords just to set the mood. But you can still have an aggressive vocal and just put the chords behind it just to get like more, like, what can you say, more of the rhythm, more of the feel of it, more
Yeah.
than anything else. And then you can like scratch that and build something up like a cool riff or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah, I could see that. And I guess I don't know, do you guys think that you'll do more acoustic stuff in the future, or you just gonna go straight hardcore on like the newer stuff, you think?
A bit of both. I mean, we have so many things we love to do, and it's never just been this one thing we want to do. And we really we enjoy making something different every time. So the next album is like gonna be something different again, because I mean, we don't want to do the same album like
Yeah.
over and over again, because then I think it stops being fun, at least
Well,
for me.
I bet. And also a lot of bands and a lot of fans want to see how you guys are experimenting with your sound, right? And see what you guys could really shape up with the
Luckily,
game
I mean,
maybe.
luckily, it's a bit of both as always. I feel like people were very welcoming of our latest album, despite it sounding somewhat different than the first one. But then again, there'll always be people like, oh, I just wish you can like make another one of like those kinds of album. They just want to like tie down to. Or I think it's going to be. I mean, it's if it's your first love, sometimes it's hard to let go because you loved it so much and you want a version of that. So, but I mean, for us, it's gonna maybe we're gonna come and circle back to some things, but we're definitely gonna keep like having fun with it and just doing different stuff.
Yeah, I can see that. I loved both albums and I love the EP and everything. So honestly, great tracks and everything. I'm just curious on like, will you guys have like a single out soon for the new record or anything out of the sort?
Well, we're still going to try and figure out what we want like on the album, because we've been writing a lot during COVID, like I guess a lot of other bands, because what the
Yeah.
heck else are you going to do? You can't really go touring and everything. We had everything canceled, of course, like everybody else. So we just decided to write. And so far, we've been writing a lot, and we definitely have more than for one album. So we're just trying to figure out how we want everything to fit together so it becomes like a cool and diverse album, and right now we're freaking out. Okay, are some of these things too different? Is it going to sound like varied and diverse, or is it going to sound schizophrenic? And that's the kind of place we're at right now. It's just going to figure out, like, is it cool or is it too much? And then like what other songs we would pair it with instead. So
See, what I like to hear is like something weird out of the ordinary, like on probably like the first or the last track. Just
oh
because
yeah,
it's like different. It's not like in the middle of the album. So it's like, oh, you're in the kind of mood setting because all these songs are kind of sounding like the same kind of rhythmic and that kind of vibe. But then you just have this random track and you're like, what's going on here, right?
yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because the what we're talking about right now might be actually just starting out with this like kind of messed up like track that's definitely not a standard or a classic track. So you might have your dreams come true with that, but
Okay.
we'll see.
We'll see. We'll cross our fingers and
Yeah.
see, but who knows? What is it like actually during COVID with like the writing process with what's his name?
Oh, Mickle.
Mickle,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's easy for us, as it always has been, because we work like a lot of the times we have been working separately, sending ideas just to the computer, because it's easy. And then we don't really do it like in a jam kind of way because we're just two people. So it's not like we can run around through a drum set and a guitar and a bass and a piano. So we just usually do it like that. And then sometimes we just like meet up and listen to stuff and discuss like, oh, maybe what if the riff went up here instead, like those kind of details, and work more closely with some of things. But a lot of the times it's just like sending ideas back and forth, and even like, oh, I've sent these three, like which one of like the endings do you like better? It's, oh, it's easy too. So like that, COVID has not been a problem.
Okay. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like some
Everything.
bands, yeah. Some bands are like they can't because of the digital aspect, I guess, doesn't work or here and there, but I'm glad that it's working for you guys cuz
Oh yeah,
that's good, but
sure. Yeah, we've pretty much always done it like that. Just done a lot of things on our own, and then met up and just figured out the details and all those things.
yeah. Yeah. Is there any like features you thinking on the next record? Like different artists gonna hop on to it? You're thinking or no?
Oh, we haven't talked to anybody about it yet, so that's still a yeah. I
Up
feel
in
like
there?
we're gonna have to put the album together first before we even
Think about it.
realize like what we need for it or what we want for it. So, but
Okay.
maybe.
Maybe up in the air. Okay. That's something that a lot of people just don't kind of think about. I guess I don't know. Maybe it's a new kind of thing that a lot of artists and bands are trying to get into
Yeah,
for
I mean, we
features.
wanted to do it for the last album actually, and we had somebody lined up who was like he was interested and thought the track was cool and everything, but he was touring and he wouldn't be home for another month. And we were like, okay, we actually pushed back the release a little bit for him to come home. And then he did come home, and he gave us said like, oh yeah, it's cool. I want, and I think he might have said, was it 7,000 euros for like a guest performance on a song? And then we're like, what?
What?
So I'm not gonna like spill any names, but we're like,
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have that kind of money at all. I mean, we're not
Dang.
a big band or
Well,
anything.
yeah.
So we're like, okay, we pushed back the release and everything. So that kind of sucks. But
That does
then we
suck.
just went on with it, and we didn't like look for anybody else because we didn't have more time at
Hmm.
that point. So
Dang. Yeah, you should
yeah.
actually like talk to him and say, "Yo, what is your, I guess, price limit before we get into
I mean,
anything?"
it would have been nice if like management in
Yeah.
between themselves had figured that out before we waited for a response. I mean, we're in the middle of finishing up an album, and somebody else is talking about to his management about this stuff, and I mean, I can't believe that nobody would like figure out a price in advance, but I mean, right? So
Yeah, that's the day and age. Everything is just like, oh, it'll just blow up right in your face. Like right now, you won't even know.
yeah.
Yeah. What is like some artists you hope to actually like work on in the future for your music career?
Oh, I don't. I actually like. I don't even
You don't
know.
think about it?
Oh, hey, being put on the spot like that. There are so many different artists I actually enjoy listening to. So I don't really have anyone in particular lined up that, holy crap, I need to work with this person. So actually, I wouldn't even know right now. I'm sorry.
Oh, good. Oh, good. That's
I guess people probably always have like their dream artist they want to work with, but I mean, for me, there are probably like 100 artists I'd love to work with because there's so much great music out there and so many great people making it. So I am hoping like generally to make more collaborations this year. Something might just be out next year. So I just did something with Alexandra Cerner, guitarist, and
good.
that was really, really fun. And I have a couple of more things lined up. So it is nice to just be able to work with some new people.
That's good. I like that. I love that. And what about like a dream tour for yourself with the band?
Well, same thing. I mean, the first time we went out on a big tour, it was with Lacuna Coil, and
Yeah.
before that happened, I was like, "That's never gonna happen." I mean, that was like a band I listened to growing up, and like all of a sudden, a month before tour, it was like, "You're on board. All right, pack your bags, make a set list. Like, let's go, book some hotels." Like, wait, what? So like when they said they put our name in the mix there, we like, yeah, sure, right. And then we got that one. I said, like, okay, that's crazy. So I mean, what's gonna happen next? I don't know.
Okay. Okay. I love Lacuna Coil and I've been a fan of them for years as well as you guys. So honestly, seeing you guys love them is kind of cool too. Like I don't know how the dynamic for tour was like with them, but
Well, we didn't share a tour bus, but
mm,
we hung out together in backstage a lot. And like each and every one of those band members were so nice and so sweet and kind. No divas, no nothing. And especially Maki was like so accommodating and so sociable and so sweet. And when they came to Denmark on tour, we went to see them and they came out and said hi and gave us a beer or two on the bus. So that was really, really sweet.
I love that. What would you be doing if Forever Still didn't come in the picture? If it didn't happen, what would you be doing right now then?
Yeah. Like I did start like when I was in school, I had a plan to become a veterinarian, actually. So I'm glad I didn't do it because now when you ask me, it's like, were you going to do that if you didn't have Forever Still? Well, definitely not, because I have figured out what makes me happy. And either way, I would be working with music of some sorts. So if I would be with another band or doing my own stuff, or it would definitely have to be music and something creative. And anything in the world of creative stuff works out. But yeah, when I was younger, I thought I was going to be a veterinarian, and I've liked animals like since forever, and I
Ah,
wanted to save them, and I thought that was a cool thing to do.
wait, do you have any pets at all?
Yeah, I
No.
have a cat, and I used to have another cat who would probably have been right here.
Ah,
So she passed away last year after 11
ah.
years. So that was really rough.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry about that. I just lost my 14-year-old dog Shih Tzu last month, so
I'm
I
sorry too. I mean, they are family, so it's
yeah.
like for me, it was definitely like losing a family member, and I shut down completely for several weeks and did
Yeah.
nothing but play video games and eat ice cream. It was really bad. And but yeah,
It's the grieving process, I guess. I
yeah, yeah, it's super rough, but I mean, it was like the best cat ever. Like everybody says about their pets, like your dog was the best dog ever.
mm,
So you get you get really close to them, so it
yeah.
hurts. Oh
They're your best buddies. You share everything with them. That's
my
the
God. Yeah,
beauty
she
of
was
a
like,
best friend.
what do you call it in I don't know what it's called in English, but like a Velcro cat, if you're one side of Velcro, the cat is like that,
Okay. That's a
she
weird
sticks to you
term.
like she sticks to you 24/7. So if you're somewhere,
Ah,
she would have to sleep on your lap. So she would have been here right now if she'd been there. Like
ah.
she was always there.
I love that. I love that. What are your like I guess this is like, what do you think about like the music industry as a whole, like with labels, streaming, everything right now? Like, what do you think when you hear about that right
Hmm.
now?
Well, it's a mixed bag, isn't it? It's obvious like in a year with COVID, like all the bands shut down because like you barely make anything on streaming. Like in the old days, you would have been able to at least sell your albums and stuff like that. But that part has been like even more difficult. So obviously, streaming is has been difficult on bands when they can tour, because I know that most people have their income in touring and selling merch, and you never sell more merch than when you are on tour. So, it's on all interlaced like that. So, that being said, obviously, streaming and internet and all this stuff has given you a chance to get out to more people, but also it has made the market way more crowded. So it takes more for you to rise above that. So, I mean, goods and bads, I don't focus on it too much. I just focus on making it work where we are instead of reminiscing of what could have been.
I get you. I get you. Like, what are your thoughts about like labels and everything, and like any suggestions to like new artists thinking about they should get into a label or if they should go independent at all?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
when we got a label deal with Nuclear Blast, we weren't looking for a label. We weren't set on getting a label at all. We were just like, we felt like we're just going to do our thing DIY. We could do a lot of stuff. We could grow ourselves. And I mean, that was the very reason they even paid us any mind, was because we were making a lot of noise on our own. So definitely labels can do some good stuff for you. They can help promote your stuff. They can push you to a wider audience and be like, help you get bigger tours because you have a name behind you. So obviously those are wonderful things. I wouldn't let it be a like, you have to do this or you're never going to make it. Not at all. I mean, not today. You just have to be like, work really, really hard and be smart about how you promote yourself and do it actively and make like quality music, because without quality music, like, it doesn't matter if you have a label or if you don't. If the bass isn't there, it's not going to happen. So I would say either or. You can make it work and just figure out what your own standards are for a label. For us, it was wanting creative freedom, because we did not want to get forced into creating something we didn't want to make, because then it becomes completely like, it doesn't matter,
Right.
I don't want to like make music and have to make something specific. Then I could have picked another job. For me, music is that creative outlet where I get to do what I want to do when I want to do it, sort of thing. So I didn't want to be confined like that. But if it's okay for you, then creative freedom is not a big thing. You just got to figure out your own values. And obviously, you can get some more promotion, but you can also like be caught in a net of somebody restricting you. Right?
Yeah, I get you. Like, I know some of these bands that are starting to get into like labels or starting to get into music, they don't know anything, or actually these horror stories that labels have brought onto the music industry and these new bands and everything. It kind of is scary for a lot of these bands trying to start out or even try to pursue music, I guess, nowadays, right?
Yeah. Well, one thing I can say to them is, at least you can definitely make it without a label. And the smartest thing is to just make sure you spend very little money, because then you don't need to make a lot of money. And it's not going to be, unless you happen to hit it really big, which doesn't happen that often, you're just not going to make a lot of money. But if it's something that makes you happy, just like put your budget as low as freaking possible. I mean, I have a food budget. I have found a place with a low rent, and it's not fancy, and I don't get anything. Like, I don't get fancy stuff or anything for my apartment. I thrift shop and stuff like that. Just keep everything low, and it's going to make it so much easier. Also, if a label is offering you a contract and it has you pay for anything, don't take it. It happens a lot. We've gotten 5 of those offered. It's super, super common. And people will say like, oh, but it's a label deal, so it can really do something for me. But you are not supposed to pay for a label deal. A label pays you in either money or promotion or both. So it sounds fancy with a contract. And third, if you get a contract, get it checked properly so you don't get fricked over.
Yeah, that's a new one actually. I didn't hear about that
Really?
ever. No.
It's super true.
Yeah, about like you have to pay into like the label. And yeah, that's a new one actually. I didn't hear about that before.
Because then they give you like their name and their promotion and take all your percentages. I mean, it's ridiculous. So
yeah, I'm sorry that you guys got offered that, and hope you guys didn't take that, of course.
We didn't. I mean, we didn't. So, but I mean, definitely, I just know that as an up and coming band, we're just starting out. It's like, okay, is that what you do? Like, is it worth it? Like, maybe if it really pushes us somewhere, maybe it's worth it to pay something for it. I mean, your mind is in a different place if like, and you're thinking like just starting out, oh, label deal, it sounds so major, but I mean, it definitely doesn't have to be.
Yeah, exactly. And I was actually surprised that you guys were you guys were independent at one point, and I'm surprised that you
Yeah.
guys still haven't like gone back into independent or at all, but you just continue starting to do in the label and everything.
Well, you signed for some albums,
So yeah,
so but yeah, we made sure, if, like I said, we met up with somebody and said, well, most important thing for us is
the
this
creative freedom, right?
creative freedom, because we don't want to compromise on like the entire product. I mean, nothing is more important than that for us.
Yeah, that's the main thing. I know a lot of things for a lot of these artists nowadays actually is creative freedom and also the rights to their music, because once you're out of like that said label, they could still actually not let you play those songs now because of that. I've heard horror stories about that even.
That sounds terrible. I mean, usually you're allowed to play your songs, but playing your songs mean that some of the money you're getting as a songwriter, you pay to your publisher or label. But I mean, that's a deal. As long as you have that down in the contract and know what you're signing up for. I mean, hey.
Yeah, that's true. Is there any small upcoming artists in like Denmark actually that you've been getting into recently?
No, I'm gonna be
No?
completely honest.
What?
No, yeah, I mean, I haven't really been struck by anything by the underground scene at home here, but I will definitely recommend a few really good Danish bands that
Hmm.
people might not even know. I have concert tickets for both of them from last year that keeps being pushed forward and forward. Well, check out Kashmir. If you don't know it, it's just with a K for the like Danish Kashmir, so
Okay.
Kashmir, and Mew, Mew. Both like really, really awesome bands that you should check out
I
from
knew
Denmark.
I knew about Mew actually. They're a very good
Wonderful
band.
band. Yeah,
Great
I
band.
mean, so I'm supposed to go see them live when they get to play a concert. Who knows when? So, but I'm super excited.
Is there anything you want the people to tell about you, Maya, about or forever still? What do you want the people to know about you, I guess?
Well, what do I want to? Well, we just started a demo club where we started sharing new music with people actually on Patreon. So patreon.com/forever still. We started sharing new music there and the whole songwriting process behind all the songs. So if that's something people think is cool and funny, they can go check that out. And we also have on our YouTube channel, we have like little snippets of all of the songs we've released so far. So even if you're not a patron, you can still go and check it out, what we're working on at the moment.
That's great. Thank you so much, Maya, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.